Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking, and I'm here today with Leslie, and we are going to be discussing what each sign does when they are heartbroken. Well, this is a topic which I think is really good to know about because obviously being heartbroken and then you're going to be doing you're going to be doing something which normally you wouldn't do. So facing the problem already, knowing about the problem already might help you to close a relationship a lot quicker. We're going to be talking about, first of all, the first and the seventh house axis. So you're going to be able to have a look at either your rising sign or even your descendant sign, because the seventh house first, the descendant is going to be talking about, it's like a mirror. The partner is showing you a mirror. A partner is going to be showing you characteristics within yourself which you might not want to accept. But during my practice, I've also noticed something which is, I think, pretty much not used in astrology, and that's the anti-vertex. So you've got a vertex in your chart, which is going to be talking about fated relationships, what you're really wishing for in a partner. And also it could be showing you what ways you're going to be meeting your partner. The anti-vertex, which is going to be the opposite point from your vertex point, is going to talk about what you do when you are single. So basically that's going to be type of the energy, what you do after a breakup, or how you go through a breakup, or just what do you do when you are single and you don't have anyone important in your life. So we're going to be speaking about each sign. Please let us know which category you fall into. It would be lovely to get some feedback. By the way, I'm going to be holding a Saturn return webinar on the 26th of July. I had to postpone it, unfortunately, by a week or so. So it's going to be all about how to interpret your Saturn return, how to deal with some of the Saturn transits. It's going to be a good 3-4 hour webinar, and I think Saturn return is the second most spoken topic in astrology. Even people have heard of it, who is not even interested in astrology. The first one probably would be Mercury Retrograde, which, thank God, today, it's stationary and it's going direct. So we are quite happy about it. Hi, Leslie. By the way, we tried recording this video yesterday, and of course, it was still Mercury retrograde. This actually didn't work out. So let's pray today. There is no issue. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today in the round 2 of attempting to record this video. Yeah, Mercury retrograde. I feel like this time right now to talk about how we deal with heartbreak is a really good time because, we did just, come out of a Mercury retrograde. We had Venus retrograde earlier, in May. And so, we could be kind of revisiting these topics, maybe not with a person, but maybe within our minds, how we could go about things differently when it comes to relationships, or how we actually handle that heartbreak. And I just wanted to add something to what you were saying, because I also do find that, we do attract people that we don't realize that they have energies within themselves that we carry. And so their mirror is a reflection to us to show us what we have within us. But then I also find that, sometimes we end up being attracted to someone because of their qualities that we want. Sometimes we end up, being falling for somebody that is, that great cook or a great writer or something that we want to develop within ourselves. And so, being aware of that, because a lot of us, we hear I'm going to bring my 50% and you're going to bring your 50%. Together, we're going to make 100. I feel like we should work on getting ourselves to that 100%, and so that we're not looking for that other person to fill in certain parts or voids or areas of our lives. Like, we have that fulfilled within ourselves so that we can bring 100% to the table, and that person can bring that 100%. We end up attracting someone that's more well-rounded when we work on ourselves fully. So that's also something really interesting that I picked up working with people and reading synastry reports and just understanding why people are attracted to others. And so I hope that's helpful too. You know, let's work on, you know, fulfilling our desires within ourselves and mastering stuff within ourselves so that we can bring, you know, our whole self to the table.
You know, when it comes to synastry, and you might remember, but in the synastry class, I did mention that synastry overlay is not my favorite. And the reason being is because it's going to talk about the initial spark between two people, right? So when it comes to that first couple of months, yes, that might be described by your synastry overlay. So synastry overlay means that I'm going to put two charts on top of each other and then seeing how harmonious or disharmonious the planetary alignments are. However, that initial spark at some point is going to just, you know, go away. And that's going to be your composite chart, or that's going to be your Davison chart to work with. And when it comes to synastry, synastry overlay, I just go very simple. I only look at the sun, moon, and the ascendant combinations. Does your moon trigger my ascendant, moon, or sun? And so forth. If somehow there is connection between those people, then you know what? The chances of a long-term relationship is quite huge. I've never ever seen a synastry overlay where one of those three were not connecting in some ways. Even in a negative way, doesn't matter, just let them connect.
Right.
You know, but yeah, what about, I don't know, Mercury squaring my Venus? Okay, you guys going to have some communicational blockages. It can be learned. Mars is squaring Venus. You're going to have some sexual problems. Sex can be learned as well. I can tell my partner, move your hip this way, that way, you know.
Right.
All these things can be learned. However, the soul, which is moon, if it doesn't recognize you in any way, your physical appearance, your core intentions, or your soul, then it's all screwed. It's never going to happen. Same with the sun. If the sun doesn't see that I can work together with you in the long run, relationship won't work. And same with your rising sign as well, because the rising sign is the approach to your life. So if there is nothing similar there either, then what's the point in being together?
Right.
The rest is just an extra factor, which makes it even easier or harder, but you can learn it if you are willing to. Anyway, let's go into these heartbroken signs.
Yes.
So how do you feel about Aries being heartbroken? What do they do?
Well, Aries is the first, you know, fire sign of the zodiac. So for, you know, fire signs are about inspiration and motivation. And, you know, with Aries is about initiation. And so I feel like there's like a natural confidence to Aries, you know, because it's all about me. So I can see them, you know, kind of working out, you know, kind of trying to get like their groove back in a way. Maybe they had to slow down in the partnership. And so they're like, you know what, I need to revamp and, you know, redo or just go back to my old ways and, you know, kind of work on myself. And I kind of see them saying like they're working out for other people, but they're probably working out too to show their ex, like, look at me, you know, like, look at what you lost. I feel like Aries is the energy too that sometimes they take action before they like think things through fully, you know, that's part of their excitement. And so I kind of do see this sign as one of the signs that probably would have sex with someone new, you know, not maybe right away or maybe, you know, like within a short period of time, but just to kind of like get that energy moving, get that fire moving. And so I do also feel like, you know, on the other spectrum, that Aries could be bullying other people or just like kind of getting aggressive, assertive with other people, maybe getting into fights because they're feeling a bit sensitive about, you know, why did this person leave me? You know, like I feel like Aries could be a little subjective, you know, because it's their world. And so I feel like, you know, that could be the negative aspect, but also I just feel like they're just going to be looking to regain their confidence most of all.
Yeah, you know, Aries is all about sport and competition. So they might look at it like, okay, it's a sport, then how can I prove the point? that what a big mistake you made, especially if Aries is getting dumped.
Right.
So I agree with you. It's definitely going to be about proving the fact that they've got the best body. Look at me. Aries likes being the best, surely. But Aries also might regret the decisions if they are the ones who dump someone, because they are famous for making decisions very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? Aries is a fire sign, so it might burn up every single present you gave them. The letters, the T-shirts you gave them, or they're gonna sell your rings and whatever it is. So they can be cruel, and that's Aries, right?
Yes. I could definitely see that destructive, nature, like, cause just trying to forget that person or, make them feel the burn too, but at the same time, like, hopefully, like, on the positive aspect, they just, kind of take their direction to another route, become a pioneer, that leader that they want to be, and, do the more positive aspects of this nature. So yeah. Did you want to go to Taurus?
I'm not afraid that Aries is going to suffer a lot, because at the end of the day, Aries is like the love at first type of sign. So maybe a couple of hours later, they're going to fall in love with someone else.
For sure.
Maybe they're going to be a little bit rebellious. They're going to dye their hair, maybe some very weird color. They're going to pierce their tongue. They're going to make irrational decisions they regret. But overall, they're going to get into balance quite quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about, by the way, so what we are talking about here is that maybe have a look at your vertex sign, and the opposite is going to be what you do once your heart is broken, or just identify yourself with your rising sign, especially, or the ruler of your rising sign. Because that is going to be talking about how you approach love, in what ways. So the rising sign and the ruler is always going to be describing the way you approach certain topics. So Leslie, how do you feel about Taurus?
So Taurus is our fixed earth sign. So it's a little bit more slower, it's a deeply rooted sign. And, Taurus is about the pleasures. It's ruled by Venus. So I can see Taurus at first, probably doing a little bit of the binge eating, kind of, sleeping a lot, kind of, immovable, your friends probably wanting to take you out and you're saying, no, like, I'd rather be at home with my ice cream and my, my sad movies. And so I definitely see, like, Taurus taking a little bit longer to initiate like a change, to kind of snap out of it,
That
but
is accurate. It takes ages. Taurus is the most stubborn sign of all. They resist any type of change.
Yeah. But I also do feel like there is a side to Taurus that loves their bodies, like they love, like, they want to, maybe want to change their look, maybe cut their hair, maybe retail therapy, like buying something silky to wear on their body to feel sexy again. So I feel like, maybe they go through that cycle of like undoing themselves, like not caring about their appearance, their hair, their bodies. But then after a while, they're going to want to get themselves back to feel a certain way in their bodies, feel sexy again, sensual, wanting to be touched again in a certain way. And so I think that after a while, they're going to turn over slowly, but finally regain, that sense of self again, because it is a self-worth sign, a self-love sign. So they're learning how to really validate themselves, without anything else, without maybe a relationship. I feel like I wanted to kind of give that message to Taurus, that don't equate you being in a relationship with your self-worth. Sometimes you're better off without that person, and you really need to show yourself the self-love because they weren't nourishing that for you. So yeah, I could definitely see them being really stubborn to turn things around, because maybe they feel a little bit sorry for themselves because the relationship didn't work out. But after a while, they're going to want to feel themselves again and see themselves in something really beautiful. So, I could see them that being the motivation to turn their emotions around and actually get to some sort of, just like kind of get a reality check and just be in the present more and just kind of fix their situation a little bit.
Yes. Taurus can fight for a relationship till the end. And it doesn't matter how bitter it is, because I'm so used to being with someone, and I'm reluctant to make any changes in my life. But for them, a breakup can be pretty much like black and white. So once it happens, once the cord got cut, they are very stubborn and no like, okay, let's get back together again. There is not going to be, there is no room for compromising things, right? For me, Taurus, yes, might start licking their own wounds a little bit, for sure. They're gonna be very loyal to their hurt feelings as well, of course. But and the reason is because they look at the relationship like an investment. I put so much time, effort, and money. And the breakup doesn't exist, in investment. You either win or win. That's how they think about it. Think about Adele, for instance.
Yes.
All of a sudden, she becomes bittersweet, right? So Taurus, yes, loves, it's a Venus sign, so they might start eating sweets and chocolate, putting on weight. Having plenty of food in their own beds, because they might refuse to leave the flats.
Right.
How about Gemini?
Gemini is our first air sign of the zodiac. It's a mutable energy. So I feel like, they, their minds are very busy, so I feel like they're going to try to find ways to distract them or to avoid like the situation in their mind. And that could be, Gemini is very skillful, so it could be through their different skills, through maybe learning something new, through, just like, being curious about something, just to get their mind off of something, because of the situation, because Gemini is not that emotional, so it's kind of like lighthearted. So I feel like maybe they would even go to friends to find out like their perspective, because that's how open they are with their dialogue, and just they want to understand things on different levels too. So I feel like they're going to be socializing, flirting even. And not even flirting to like end up in a relationship, just flirting because it's fun, and it kind of gets them also distracted, and kind of makes them feel like, okay, like it's not the end of the world, because they're very like optimistic in that way. Like, what, I'm not going to. They don't really like to feel like they're drowning. They want to keep moving about. So I feel like, and even like because they're such great writers, maybe poetry, they can really use that kind of art to express how they're feeling, with that, with their emotions, kind of concentrate and think, okay, like, let me just put it on paper and then I can be done with it. And because they're not going to be a sign that's going to like hold on and harbor and feel and be, crying about it. They're going to be more so like thinking about it analytically. So, how do you feel about that?
When it comes to love and heartbreak and stuff like that, there is this TV show called RuPaul, and he says that at the end of the show, that if you don't love yourself, how on earth do you expect others to love you? Or if you don't love yourself, how do you expect you loving others? And with Gemini, the reason why this quote came to my mind is because obviously Gemini is twins, so there is the evil twin within you, who is going to be whispering in your ears that you're going to have to get to the core of the problem. You're going to have to investigate. So I feel like Gemini is going to give a call to every single friend, as you said, to get their perspective of why things happened, analyzing the data, analyzing the situation from every possible angle, and then spinning out until they mentally completely exhausted. It's an intellectual sign, so they will approach it in a practical way, in an analytical way. Because why did the partner break up with me? Why? Definitely they lied. That's not the reason. There must be something else, because I'm very skillful, as you said. Gemini is very talented. They believe that they are good at things. They believe that they are good at communicating with others. So why did they not tell me initially there was any type of problems? However, Gemini does need to see that sometimes they are superficial when it comes to talk about problems. However, we're talking about a mutable energy, which is very easily ready to move on, right? So, while other signs might be moping and, licking their own wounds, Gemini is going to be ready to move on. So, and they can be easily convinced. Friends are going to tell a Gemini, let's go to a party. And they go to a party, they're going to meet for a drink or two. And maybe Gemini ends up hooking up with someone completely new just to get their mind off the ex.
Yes. I feel like Gemini has the energy to have 2 jobs, 2 best friends, and sometimes 2 lovers, Sometimes it's like, they could be talking to 2 people at the same time, and if one doesn't work out, the other one may work, and it's simple and as easy as that. Obviously, like in a more long-term relationship, it may be a little hard, it's not going to be as back and forth, but you know what, maybe because there is that duality, that twin energy, and sometimes, it's hard to satisfy a Gemini as well when it comes to the intellectual, like the back and forth. So I could see Gemini saying, well, you know what, maybe that person wasn't really for me anyways, because they weren't able to talk to me about, A, B, and C. And so I'm going to find someone that's going to be able to fulfill that for me and engage with me in that way and stimulate my mind in that way, So Gemini likes to look at all the sides of the story, and says, you know what, maybe I can do better, being my social butterfly and finding, someone that's in my field or interested in the same things that I'm interested in. So yeah, it's a little bit more lighthearted, doesn't want to be weighed down. So I can see that for sure.
Yes, and Gemini are natural storytellers. Sometimes they're gonna give themselves an explanation to calm their mind down as well. And you know what? Gemini again is all about communication, and unfortunately they always try to emotionally bypass any type of pain because they don't want to face emotions. So they might end up arguing on Twitter or Facebook or all these lovely F words. So Gemini just needs to write it out, write a song, write a poem, instead of all these snarky comments they might be throwing at each other.
Yeah, get real with yourself. Get real with what is happening in those emotions, and don't project that out into debating with people and wasting that type of energy and time when you can really be digging deep into the core of the issue, writing it out, and then be done with it, and, just acknowledge those feelings, because that would definitely be, a really helpful tool for Gemini, for sure, to like evolve in that way.
Let's move on to Cancer.
Yes. Cancer. Okay. So Cancer, it's our first water sign, and we may have a little bit of waterworks, a little bit of tears, or a lot of it. And this is not any judgment. I'm relating because I have Cancer moon and, 2 other planets in Cancer. So I understand completely.
In the 5th house as well. So on the romantic field.
Pisces rising, my Gemini is literally like, at one point I was saying that my Gemini was drowning in my water energy, but now I want to be positive and say my Gemini is floating on my water energy, but I, understand like the deep emotional, just connection and feeling, like Cancer, when we're, you know, in a relationship, we almost, and it's serious, we really connect with that person like we're family, you know, like, and so it's really hard when we get into a heartbreak because it's almost like we're ripping a part of our family like out of our lives, you know. And so it's really emotional turmoil when it comes to you know, Cancer being heartbroken because they are so sensitive, you know. And maybe they even felt it coming along because Cancer is so sensitive. Maybe they were trying their best to, you know, fix any situation, you know, like trying to make everything work out and be smooth. And if it still doesn't end up working out, it can be really, really, you know, hurtful. So with Cancer, Cancer rules the stomach. And so I feel like there's going to be either some, you know, maybe overeating. Yeah, like, you know, either comfort food, like, you know, connecting with food to just feel comfortable. But I also feel like maybe Cancer would also maybe stop eating, you know, be kind of in that depressed energy where they're not eating because they feel like maybe there's something wrong with them, you know. This is another subjective sign that we're talking about, and they really take things to heart. Like, you know, sometimes someone will say something and then they'll get like hurt about it and it wasn't even really about them. So it's like, I think that they will be really, you know, hard on themselves and maybe not eat, using food pretty much as like a way of coping, whether they overeat or don't do it enough.
Exactly, because you know, Cancer is a cardinal energy, so they can put up a fierce front. You know, because they want to project something to the ex. There is a little bit of a revenge there, and water signs tend to do revenge anyway. So
Yes.
you know, but then when they get home, they're gonna plunge into their own wounds. You know, they're gonna cry, they're gonna watch sobby stories,
Oh,
and
yes.
you know, think about the crab. Actually,
Yeah.
the crab's claws are not visible, is it? I was talking about Cancer yesterday, and you know, someone described Cancer as a selfless sign. Oh, and I agree. Cancer loves giving. But come on, it's a cardinal energy. It expects something in return. So it's not that selfless. The most selfless sign is definitely going to be Pisces. With
Pisces. Yeah.
Cancer, I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a nostalgia. So I'm going to bring out, because Cancer likes living in the past, so I'm going to bring out videos made 20 years ago, us having an ice cream on the beach. And then, of course, sobbing and all these cathartic feelings, right?
Yes.
But when they go outside, they might put up a fence, and you want people to see that.
Right, you know, for sure, because the crab has that hard shell, you know, but on inside is so soft, you know, and so that hard shell is like a protector, it's a guard, you know, like you're not gonna get into this soft, you know, my softy side, you know. And so I definitely see Cancer putting up a front, but they can get easily emotionally triggered too, you know, like if someone brings it up and digs a little bit too deep, it could be like they're, you know what, they're gonna run away like the crab, you know, like you're not, I don't want you to get in here. But I could definitely see Cancer reminiscing a lot, listening to the old songs that reminds them of their relationship, you know, like just, you know, the Netflix and chill. Like, I don't want to go out, you know, I just want to be at home and hugging my pillow that he bought me, you know, like that type of
I
energy.
still smell the perfume on the pillow.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is
all
just
those.
so I would just like a tip for Cancer, I would say to try your best to look at things objectively, you know, and really like, you know, try to maybe talk to Gemini friends, you know, seeing things from another picture, you know, and kind of to pull yourself out of those emotions, you know, because it's extremely sensitive and extremely like, you know, like, oh, why did this happen to me type of energy. And once you get perspective, you know, like a logical perspective, be able to pull you out and see things a little bit more clearly, you know? So maybe that person wasn't really for you and they weren't really, you know, valuing or nurturing you the way you needed, but you still were holding on for some reason. And a friend can probably tell you, like, you know what, you deserve someone that's going to take care of you the way that you take care of them, or whatever the situation is. So yeah, try to be more open-minded and actually, you know, like analyze and think about it versus like always just feeling so strongly about it, you know? I think that'll help.
Let's move on to our Leo.
Leos, you know, Leos, they want to shine. You know, Leo is ruled by the sun. And so it's a fixed energy, but it's also like that, again, that fire energy is kind of motivated. But I do feel like Leo is sensitive, you know, so I feel like Leo would be the one to go out with their friends because it is a very social energy, but they'd probably be taking pictures with new people, like posting it on their social media, trying to get the other person a little bit jealous because they themselves are a little bit insecure and like probably can't understand why they maybe got dumped or whatever. And they're, you know, that fire energy is like, I'm going to show you, you know, who's the boss, who's the one that's shining here. So I do feel like they're going to, like, you know, in the beginning, they're going to do some things that are a little bit reckless, you know, when it comes to love, like, you know, maybe sleeping with someone else too right away, or just going out and having fun and probably putting up that front on like social media wherever their ex can see them, like, look at me, I'm still shining, I'm still feeling good, right?
Leo sitting at home editing pictures downloaded from, you know, the internet that I'm doing, I'm jumping out of a plane or something like that. I'm still having fun, you see? Yes. I don't care attitude. And then, of course, we're talking about the most hopeless romantic sign of all.
Yeah.
You know, love for Leo is like a drug. They love being in love. And sometimes what happens is that you don't even notice as a Leo that why that you got dumped. Because it's a little bit of an egoistic sign as well, right?
Yeah.
They get surprised. Really? I thought I was doing everything the best.
Mm-hmm. For sure, definitely. But I could definitely see them also working on their creativity. You know, I had a friend that's a Leo that when she was heartbroken, she opened up her business, and she's extremely creative. She does, you know, she works on cakes and all these other, like, she could literally design anything and create anything because she, you know, she's just so, you know, her creative energy is like almost like magic that comes out of her hands. So I feel like Leo gets inspired to, you know, shine in any way that they can, finding ways to be on the stage, you know, finding ways where they can, you know, where people can know them and see them for whatever it is that they are artistic in, you know. So I do find them, you know, kind of investing in creating something for themselves sometimes that is going to show the public like who they really are. And even like, you know, maybe even show that ex, like, you know what, I did this without you, you know, like this is, I am powerful creator. And, you know, hopefully, you know, they find a new love out of that, you know, or just love in their creativity too, and what brings their heart with true joy.
You know, yeah, Leo rules anything to do with drama and theater. So, you know, just check out Madonna's relationship or Jennifer Lopez. You know, it is always dramatic. It is always theatrical. You're never gonna find a down moment for them, especially around the down times, around the breakup times. But you know, a Leo is a huge cat. So what does a cat like? Someone to come over and then stroke my back and you know, comforting me. So probably a Leo just needs to invite a friend over, at least a handsome one or a pretty one, and the Leo might end up sleeping with them in that romantic moment when they are stroking your back, you know.
Right.
Just like in movies.
Yes, I could totally see that.
Couples come together. Again, Leo is romance. How about Virgo?
Virgo is our earth sign, a mutable earth sign. So I feel like, there's can be a lot of overthinking and overanalyzing with Virgo, kind of like, their minds could definitely be going through all the facts of like, and all the details of the breakup and what was said, this person said this, that person said that, and dissecting that. But to get their minds off of that, I feel like they're going to be, maybe go a little bit OCD with cleaning, detailing the house, the closets, the car, kind of, finding things to fix, that maybe can be a little bit unnecessary, but they're trying to like move away from feeling, any type of emotional pain. Maybe restructuring their finances, because it is a facts and figures sign. So, trying to restructure their life and fix their life, maybe, get on a new diet or changing their lifestyle habits, their routines, going to the gym, making a plan, like keeping their life a little bit busy to not acknowledge what's really going on.
Yeah.
They could be focusing on work, and like maybe taking on projects at work to just kind of keep their minds busy as well.
Another thing which is very typical for Virgo is because it's a mental sign. Virgo is all about processing things. So imagine that you eat food with Taurus, and then you process that with Virgo, and then you get rid of all the unnecessary bit with Scorpio, right? So Virgo is always going to be processing things. And they might do that slowly because it's an earth sign. But Virgo is very judgmental and critical, especially towards themselves. So they're going to come up with all these type of sentences. I should have, I could have, I would have, right? So they go around the scenario like millions of times, trying to answer millions of questions why things happened. If I had known, they're going to use that conditional type of English sentence if we want to bring a little bit of an English grammar into the picture as well. If I had done this, then we would be still together type of sentence, right? And Virgo needs to stop doing that. Stop blaming yourself. In order for a relationship to go sour, two people need it. It's not just your fault.
Right.
Yeah, let's move on to Libra.
And I was just going to say really quickly about Virgo, because it is a health sign and they tend to be a little bit overcritical. Like, be careful with that. You want to move away from that, because anything that we think and we believe manifests in our bodies, on the physical level. And so, the key with Virgo is to think about the health and working on a routine that's going to get us healthy again, and not be so hard on ourselves. They have a gift of seeing, things with the eye of attention to detail, which is a beautiful gift, but don't go overboard with that, because then you're trying to fix and perfect everything. And the lesson of the universe is saying that, we don't have to fix everything. Some things are perfect the way that they are. So just Virgo, I just want to say, like, take care of yourself and don't beat yourself up, for that, because your mind can definitely go a little, be over, overheat with all that information,
Right. And, going on, Virgo, what they tend to be doing is that they're going to go to the library and then they're going to read all the relationship advice books, or they're going to go to the witch shop and then buy candles to bring those people back into their lives, or they just end up helping their friends sorting things out, but they're going to compensate quite badly. And it might take a little bit longer for them to overcome any of their heartbreak, of course. Let's move on to Libra then.
Great. So Libra is our relationship sign. So I feel like Libra is going to be the sign that's going to be thinking about that other person a lot, like thinking about their ex, attempting to make peace and harmony with that person the most, out of any of the other signs, because they want, like a harmonious balance between themselves and their relationships. And so they're going to be like trying to be the peacemaker and making sure, like, that they ended on good terms, but they're going to be really thinking about that person a lot. And so I feel like because it is still an earth sign, and Libra's naturally charming, wherever they go, there's going to be some flirtatious type of energy. Maybe they end up dating, just to get their mind off things as well, just to talk to somebody because that person, their ex, is no longer there. That they're going to try to fill that void with someone new, even if it's just conversation and going out to do like those Venusian things, like maybe going to a museum, going to a beautiful restaurant with a beautiful view, going to a live show. And maybe they're going to like seek to be with someone, even if that's not their partner, but just to fill in that space of that ex. I do also feel like, maybe they're going to be doing some creativity, maybe making music, talking about, their relationship, to reflect on their relationship, maybe write a poem to kind of like express, what they were going through, because it is, a sign ruled by Venus. And so I do feel like art can be something, a way to kind of heal what's going on within them.
I
What do you
see
think?
Libra a little bit in a different way, actually, because I think they are shamelessly flirtatious, and I think they are like serial daters. But once they are committed, they would not go anywhere. So this is exactly when they're gonna be very, because we're talking about Libra, which is all about the balance. It rules the scale. So of course, if the relationship has died off, and basically the scale tipped over as well, so they're gonna go to the extremes. They're gonna be drinking, or they're gonna be eating, or they're gonna be comforting somehow themselves. They might be sitting down in a cafe reading about death and suicide and all those type of things while drinking a black coffee. So a heartbroken Libra is it could be very depressive, and they need to find some type of pleasure in their life. So what you said was true. Yeah, go to the theater, or go and do a shopping spree, buy something beautiful for yourself. If you think about Libra, it's all about codependency. So when they've got a relationship, they cannot really imagine that someone is going to leave them at one point. And they might become very paranoid as well, because, oh my days, I'm alone. What am I going to do now? So it's going to cause them an emotional turbulence. And, they definitely need help. Air sign. They need to talk about this. They need to pour their heart out on the table, maybe to friends, or, less than the shady characteristics, surely. You don't want to hear justice broken over your head, right, by different type of so-called friends. So you really need your best friend who knows you exactly and how to get you out of this state of mind.
Yeah, I have two ex-Libra boyfriends, and they both, interestingly enough, when we broke up, they, like, one wrote a poem and the other one wrote a song. And I gained a lot of clarity from it, but I really do feel like it was for themselves, to gain clarity within themselves about the relationship as well, and they wanted to express, like, the beautiful love of the relationship, but also like what they need to do for themselves in order to heal, so I do find it that, they need to, express themselves and understand like what they're going through mentally and emotionally. And, because it is a Venus ruled sign, it can come out of music. It can come out of, some sort of creativity. And I had a Libra rising friend, and when he broke up with someone, he created like musical beats. But like even throughout the song, you can hear like, his pain, but his optimism as well. So yeah, I feel like Libras, you can really use your creativity to understand yourself at least, and to, dissect and go through the motions of your emotional heartbreak.
That's right. Or you know what? It depends on your budget, but go and have a spa treatment, a beauty treatment, as I should say, a shopping spree, buy a new dress. Probably all Libra people could ask Kim Kardashian what she does. She's a Libra. And, we might be getting some good, great piece of advice from her.
Take a private plane, go to an island.
Exactly. Spend your husband's money, surely.
Yeah, get yourself
even
some
the
diamond
government money,
earrings.
if possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. How about our
Okay.
intense Scorpio?
Ooh, Scorpio. I feel like Scorpio is going to be, super deep. They're always super deep about their emotions. So they're going to be the ones to kind of be in the seclusion mode. I feel like, Scorpio is such a natural, like, lie detector test investigator that they're going to be like, going deep and maybe making fake accounts to, kind of look at what the ex is doing to figure out if they're talking to anybody new, because they're also really intuitive, so they will pick up on any of that and make sure they do their research and get down to that investigator mode and figure out what's really going on, getting to the deep, dark truth. And so Scorpio is going to be one of those, or maybe they're going to be a little bit paranoid and do the same thing, and there might not be anything going on, but it's just more so just like, because Scorpio is the sign that, deals with betrayal in some sense, and it's really hard for them to, trust people. And so even if the relationship was, just I can't do this anymore, but it doesn't have to do with any other person, Scorpio may still feel that like trust issue, like maybe they are with someone else, so they're going to be the ones investigating. And I feel like also they're going to be trying to regain some sort of control in their life. And so they also may be sleeping with someone new that they may not even be really interested in, but it's just to kind of regain control of over their emotions. And I feel like this,
wow.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. They're a little bit going to be, they're going to be on the revengeful side, especially if they feel like they've been done wrong. They're going to, try to hurt that other person. They have that scorpion tail, so they know exactly how to get to really like poke somebody where it hurts, so they're going to try to do something like that if they feel like they've been, really been, done wrong in some way. Yeah, what do you think?
A lot. So, first of all, Scorpio needs to learn that they are self-destructive.
Mm-hmm.
They've got trust issues, so sometimes they might be the one who destroys the whole relationship.
Mm.
On the other hand, also, Scorpio, once you had your breakup, remember that you are a phoenix bird, which means that you need to burn everything to the ground behind you and then start fresh and rising from the ashes, right? So there needs to be a total destruction happening around you. Probably you should be doing what's best for you, like burn presents, burn t-shirts or whatever it is. Get rid of it. You don't need it. And then start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I see some of their opportunities. They're going to have to learn how to survive. As you said, Scorpio is all about everything running deep in your veins. And that's the reason why Scorpio doesn't necessarily want to bond at the first place, because they are afraid of being cheated on, or they are going to get betrayed.
Or abandoned.
Exactly, or emotionally being exhausted. But once they commit, they really commit. So there is a little bit of a similarity here to Taurus. No wonder, because they are opposite signs, right?
Yes.
Remember also that Scorpio depicts death, and death is something which is natural. So Scorpio needs to understand that not every single relationship is going to last forever. On a psychological level, they have to explain things for themselves, such as death is a natural process of life. It means one door is closing and one is opening. So Scorpio, go and start looking for the new doors. Which one can you open? Of course, not immediately. You're going to have some struggles in your head first, but give yourself a time limit. With Scorpio, the P.S. I love you comes to my mind. Oh, and I love that film with my Pisces rising. I love crying over it as well. And basically, it's all about writing letters to your uh, dead partner who passed away because of some illness. And I'm just wondering how a Scorpio would do that. I mean, it's brutal for them. But in a way, I understood what the guy wanted to do as well. He knew exactly the Scorpio girlfriend that she wouldn't be able to stand up herself. So he wanted to help by writing letters and giving her things to do and to look forward to. So Scorpio is needed to come up with some plans as well.
I'm gonna have to watch that movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna watch it after like tonight.
Oh, your Pisces rising sign is gonna cry, and you'll get some popcorns with your Cancer because you're gonna need it.
My Cancer, my Taurus, all of that.
Yeah, but if you wanna cry on something else, then the other one I love is Before Me, I think it's called. Oh, that's a fantastic story as well. Anyway,
okay, I'll watch it, and then I'll message you.
Sorry, I promise no one has hired me to to advertise these films, but my Pisces rising loves the soapy stories.
Same.
Okay, so let's move on to Sagittarius.
Okay, yes, Sagittarius is it's a sign that, it's like a freedom sign, it loves to explore and expand through their experiences. And so I feel like, they're going to try to find the deeper meaning, maybe the philosophical hat is going to come on and say, you know what, like, this is the end, but it's only a new beginning for me, having like a big, like an optimistic, energy surrounding themselves and the situation. And so I feel like they're going to want to travel, take on new experiences, maybe explore new places. I could see them signing up for some sort of schooling classes, something where they can learn and just kind of like feel like they're growing themselves in a way. I can also even see them moving. I know that sounds a little bit drastic, but I feel like Sagittarius can say like, you know what, I've been living here for so long in this relationship.
I did that with my Sagittarius moon. I was heartbroken, so I bought a ticket to London, and the next day I traveled, and then I moved there for 12 years. And that was just because of a heartbreak.
I can see that, just wanting something completely new, like kind of like stepping away from the old and where you had that relationship and the places you and your partner went to together. They kind of just want to get away from that and like experience a whole new world, a whole new lifestyle, just changing their environment really would help them, kind of feel like they're evolving and advancing. So I feel like with Sagittarius, there can be a little bit of, some pain there, but what they're going to cope with is like new adventures, and maybe even taking on new studies about religion and philosophies and things like that, to just get a wider perspective of the world. I feel like that is totally Sagittarius.
And plus, just think about Britney Spears crushing Justin Timberlake's heart, right? We're talking about a Sagittarius versus an Aquarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sagittarius is symbolized by arches. So I kind of agree with you. When I talk about Sagittarius, actually, the Eight of Wands come to my mind quite often. Because what you do there is you shoot in your arrows. The wands are flying in the sky, and you never know when it lands. And this is Sagittarius. You never know what to expect from them. Because on one hand, they are very positive, very optimistic, so they would never ever give up on things. They're going to be very optimistic. Oh, this person is going to come back to me anyway. So why would I cry over this? Right? So they are never prepared to become heartbroken. But on the other hand, they are so easily moved on from anything. They are just packing the bag, travel, and it's all sorted. The most adventurous sign. Let's have fun. Let's do horse riding. Let's go and, let's have few drinks.
Let's go gamble.
Let's go and, exactly. Sagittarius love all those.
For sure. And I feel like, yeah, Sagittarius can start a whole new life, you know, from a heartbreak, and really, like, you know, like, I was hearing someone Saturn return story, and she's a Sagittarius, and she broke up with someone that, you know, they were together for 10 years, and she started a whole new life, like her life path direction, her career, everything changed from that moment on, you know. And yeah, it can be a life-changing experience for Sagittarius, but I think that that's also exciting for them as well.
Mm-hmm. I've also noticed that Sagittarius tends to stay friends with their ex, and even they use them as matchmakers. Oh, do you have someone to introduce for me? You know,
What?
I've seen that with Sagittarius a lot. You know, but it's a friendly sign. It's one of the signs which is very hard to pin down in a relationship, because they are so respectful towards their freedom.
Yes. And they're so adaptable too. So I guess, you know, that adaptability is just able to get their mind, you know, more accepting of the situation and say, okay, it is what it is. Maybe he knows someone that I can, you know, that I will be in a good relationship with, you know, just kind of having like that optimistic, open-minded nature. So I can see that. But my Cancer moon is like, no, I would never, you know.
You know, also, let's not forget that Sagittarius has got such a high demand, right? And unrealistic, sometimes unrealistic, what's the word? Unrealistic, oh geez, the word doesn't even... Expectations, yeah, that's the word, thank you. Unrealistic expectations that no one really can fulfill those.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why and of course, we're talking about some compensations here. So we would need to see why Sagittarius is really trying to stay single. There is a reason for it all the time. And by looking at your chart, maybe we will be able to figure that out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see Capricorn.
Okay, Capricorn. This one was like one of the toughest ones for me, because, you know, I wish I had a little bit more Capricorn energy to, you know, get things done and be disciplined. And but you know, the way that I look Capricorn, you know, they're really focused on their goals. So I can see them, like, you know, in a heartbreak, creating new goals or setting new goals for themselves to achieve, to feel good within themselves. I think that their achievements really bring them validation. So I do see them also, like, maybe working on 5-year plans, you know, like focusing on work, you know, setting themselves up with some, like, you know, a mountain to climb to really, you know, make them feel like they're worth something again, you know. So I feel like they can be a little bit hard on themselves and a little bit hard on others too when they're going to be going through a heartbreak. You know, like that disciplinarian energy can come along. But I remember asking my friend, because she's a Capricorn, like, what do you do in a heartbreak? Like, do you know, I don't see you crying all day. She said, no, but I do feel like once I get all my things done, there will probably be like a 30-minute window where I'm going to feel bad for myself. Like, it's scheduled time, you know, okay, I've done all my chores, you know, now I can, you know, feel a little bad about this situation, but it's almost like they need something to keep them motivated as far as, like, you know, accomplishments go. And so that's going to be like at the forefront. It's like how they're going to be able to, like, you know, restructuralize like themselves and, you know, bring in new structure when it comes to their new foundation. So that's the way that I was looking at Capricorn.
Yes, and you know, Capricorn, first of all, is the sign of quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So when I mentioned this, I'm just starting to laugh, because obviously Sagittarius is about the quantity and Capricorn is about the quality. And me having 5 Sagittarius things, I remember like very noisy things, to be frank, and especially after heartbreak or you know, one of the things I wanted to say, that Sagittarius doesn't want to be heartbroken because they don't know how to deal with that emotion. Now, Capricorn is actually Capricorn tends to enjoy casual dates, though, rather than always the serious relationship, because remember, they don't have time. Yeah. Right? They are working hard towards their goals. So a casual date or It's very good for them. But once they invest time into a relationship, you know, that's forever. That's not going to be about like, at one point we're going to break up or divorce. That's out of the picture. Especially because imagine the mountain goat, right? It's going to be climbing the mountain. So any type of challenges come my way, I'm going to sort that out. But if the divorce happen, well, we're talking about a sign which provides. So Capricorn is good at providing help. Capricorn is good at providing jobs. Capricorn is good at providing money, but they are not really good at asking for any type of help or support. So most probably they're going to end up working 16, 20 hours a day so that they are kind of forgets. They go into oblivion.
Yeah.
And Capricorn is always about pulling up an emotional wall in front of them, so they don't have to deal with emotions. However, remember, this is a feminine sign, so they are full of emotions. They just learned to be tough. Capricorn is all about, I'm not going to make the same mistakes like my parents did. They had a crappy relationship. I'm not going to have one. So it's all about proving the point. So it's not easy for them to move on. Definitely, they are the ones who would go to like relationship counselors and, you know, because they have got plans for 10 years ahead. And if the partner was part of it, then, well, do I need to rewrite my plans? That's not working. They need to learn a little bit of a spontaneity, I would say. You know, going for new experiences, be spontaneous. And don't be so sentimental. Don't just stick to the familiar. Have a little bit of a fun once you had a breakup, and you will feel energized.
Definitely. Let loose a little bit.
That's right.
Find a Gemini.
Roll down. Let's see Aquarius.
I was just going to say, find another air sign or fire sign to kind of get you out of that earthy bubble, you know, to enjoy, like just to understand how to, like, you know, enjoy life and taste, you know, all what life has to offer. So, Aquarius. Aquarius is our last air sign of the zodiac. And with Aquarius, you know, I feel like, you know, when they are heartbroken, they feel like they lost a friend, you know, because I think that Aquarius, you know, is really big on friendships and connections, like, you know, through the mind. And so I feel like, they can be a little bit, you know, down and out when they lose a relationship because they feel like they lost a really solid friendship. But I can also see them hanging out with friends to kind of fill that void, you know, like hanging out with friends, going out to, you know, social events like group meetings or connecting with groups, whether it be, you know, nowadays, you know, everything is pretty much done online. So maybe meeting people online and connecting with groups and communities in that way. Finding their uniqueness again. I feel like they're going to be the one maybe doing like a bold haircut, a bold color in their hair, maybe, you know, revamping their style. I feel like Aquariuses they're the ones that set the trends. They're not the ones following the trends, but they're the ones like creating new trends because they're so, you know, future thinking. And so I feel like they're going to find a way to express themselves that's going to be out, you know, out of the norm, like, you know, a little bit edgy, but that's going to make them feel connected more to themselves because they are so unique and different. But they also, you know, they're really great researchers, I find. Like, they're really great at research, I find, with Aquarius. So maybe they're going to be researching on a topic that they really love to research on, you know, kind of going on like a expedition online to figure, you know, something out. And maybe even also community service came up to mind, you know, some way to like help the community out, whether it's like, you know, feeding the homeless or something like that. I feel like that they would really thrive and feel really fulfilled.
You know, they're going to open up a Facebook group straight away. The Heartbroken Aquarius. Aquarians, that's going to be a title of it, you know. And they're going to want to share their experiences, how the breakup happened, and so forth. I can clearly see that. But, you know, Aquarius is usually quite cool and calm. But when they get dumped, probably they can rattle you, right? Like, you know, because we're talking about Aquarius, which rules the nerve system, for instance. So they can even get to the edges of or the verge of a nervous breakdown. And I'm not even joking. Aquarius has got, you know, it's a childish energy. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So we're really talking about the, you know, the ultimate child within you. And of course, a child is full of insecurities. So, so it really triggers them, you know, emotionally. But again, we're talking about a fixed sign. So I'm not going to be able to show my emotions. I need to hide them. But of course, there might be some type of adrenaline within the person as well, you know, kind of leashed, and they're going to go and then do some hunting instead. But that's going to be, again, more to do with dealing in a way with their emotional turmoil because they had been dumped.
Yes.
So it's like a shock to the system, and Uranus is all about shock. It is like, what's the word again? Electricity. So it's like an electrical shock, and your hair is going to go all over the place. That's how you should imagine Aquarius in a breakup. It's going to emotionally very heartbroken for them. But also we're talking about the emotionally detached sign. So they're not going to show, you know, who cares? Yeah, oh, you know, I'm good. I'm going to pick up other chicks. And, you know, it's going to be a little bit of, again, putting up a forefront.
You know, I had an Aquarius ex that, you know, right away, because I feel like I shocked him with the breakup, and right away, like, he started dating somebody else, which I felt like it was too soon. But eventually he started emailing me, you know, while he was in that relationship. And so I knew, like, it did affect him to the core. And for a while he was putting up that front, like, look at me, I'm with someone new, da-da-da. But, you know, eventually, like, I feel like he did miss our friendship too. So yeah, he would email me and stuff, but we really remained friends, which was really nice, you know. And it wasn't anything creepy or, like, you know, he wasn't looking to cheat or anything like that. But I think he genuinely missed just talking, you know. So yeah, I can see that for sure, putting up a little bit of a front.
Let's have a look at the most
Pisces.
sensitive sign. And that's our
Pisces.
rising sign as well.
You know, with Pisces, you know what? It's just,
So tell me, what do you do when you are heartbroken?
you know,
That's
you know,
you anyway.
And then the 3 planets in Cancer doesn't, you know, help. You know, it just adds on. But you know, definitely feeling sentimental. You know, feeling really emotional, drowning in your emotions a little bit. Pisces is a sign of escapism. So, you know, Pisces can really be escaping in many different ways when it comes to a heartbreak, whether it's a connection with food or a connection with, you know, fantasy novel books, video games, or it can be, you know, substances as well. You know, like, Pisces can really kind of drown in their sorrows and use certain substances or, you know, just certain tools of escapism to kind of get them out of this reality. And so I was also even thinking, like, psychedelics as well. You know, Pisces is really open and wants to feel like the other world, like the ethereal worlds, because sometimes this world is a little bit too dense, a little bit too, you know, harsh for Pisces to live in. And so that's why they really want to escape, and especially during a heartbreak, even more so. So I could also see them even, like, sleeping a lot, you know, just, like, going off into the dream world a lot. But on a positive note, I really hope that Pisces, you know, finds their creativity, finds escapism through meditation, finds escapism through yoga or something, or just art, dancing, you know, music, incense. You know, Pisces is an extremely spiritual sign, but it's the 2 fish. You know, the one fish is swimming down to the bottom of the ocean, really feeling like they're suffering here, and the other fish is swimming up towards the light. You know, and so I feel like, you know, once we harness that you know, the understanding of those fishes within us, we can swim towards the light purposefully, you know, and say, you know what, I'm not going to do any self-harm. I'm going to, you know, I'm here to serve, you know, with my unconditional love. And so the way that I'm going to do that is by healing myself and loving myself and escaping through those higher routes and the higher frequencies of this energy. So maybe sound healing as well, just, you know, healing, you know, going near water, going to the lake, you know, that's something that's going to be on the positive spectrum of the, you know, what a Pisces is going to do during a heartbreak.
You know, whenever I'm heartbroken or I feel under the weather, it's music which helps me. And I put
Yes.
on my Whitney Houston, my Dimash Kudaibergen songs, you know, and then I just listen to them. Maybe a couple of tears shed here and there.
Yeah.
Watch telly, watch romantic movies. I've got Venus in the first house, so I'm gonna eat sweets and food,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, just to feel better. But I also have got Mars in my first house, and sometimes when I switch that Mars on, you know, what I do is, okay, you screw you, I'm gonna show you. You know, a little bit of a revenge comes. It doesn't last long. I never get to the end of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, I do that. I feel like Pisces, what they should be doing is actually doing some type of healthy activities and maybe going into their own social circle, you know, so they can feel nurtured and they can feel looked after a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And Pisces can be convinced easily anyway. So another thing, Pisces rules addictions.
Yeah.
So making sure that you are not getting addicted to like drinking every day, you know, drinking your sorrows away. Pisces doesn't need to have like a self check from time to time, not necessarily feeling being the victim in this relationship. You screwed up as much as your partner. So
Right.
you are not a victim. You are also someone to blame.
Right. And I also feel because Pisces is a mutable water sign, is like we absorb the energies of others the most out of any other. Like we're not able to differentiate what's mine and what's yours. You know, what's your emotional energy and what's mine, because we're always absorbing. And so some of the things that can be left over in your aura could be, you know, your exes, you know, so cleaning up that space, saging, you know, or, you know, Palo Santo, which is, I have this here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
things like that to kind of clear the space, clear the energy, so that you can kind of get rid of energy that's not yours, that you're feeling so intensely. Yeah, I think that that's something for Pisces to really learn, to have your own habit, your own routine, because even myself, like outside of the heartbreak, when I work on people energetically, when I do massage, you know, I kind of have to have my own routine in order to clean that energy off of me, because a lot of times that energy will stay on you. So sometimes just realizing that what you're feeling may not even be yours, or you know, some of it isn't yours, and working to clear that energy out so that you can uplift yourself. I think that's another message for Pisces.
Good. Thank you very much. So
You're
as we
welcome.
promised, we're gonna show you just a very quick technique of the anti-vertex. And so if you go on astro.com and then you bring up the extended chart selection and you edit your birth data and so forth, basically when you scroll down at the additional objects, you will be able to see vertex. So just click on there, and then vertex is going to appear in your chart. It's a random chart. I don't even know who it belongs to. And then vertex right there in the 5th house. Now, vertex can be running from the 4th to the 9th house. So it's not just in the 7th, but it is always on the you side. And it's going to be talking about how you might be meeting your partner, how you, who you might be having some type of soulmate connection with. So, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, Leslie has got her vertex in the 5th house as well, don't you?
It's in the 7th in
Oh,
Virgo.
it's in the 7th. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
ruler of it is in the 5th.
Yes, the ruler's in the fifth.
So when we discussed that, I remember that one of my guesses was that, oh, the first date was maybe a dinner, or you guys went somewhere to have a little bit of a drink, because
Yep.
her fifth house is Cancer. And Cancer is
Yep.
all about food and bars and having a couple of drinks. And she was like, oh, yeah, actually we did. We went for a dinner.
Yes, you even
So,
called it that it was a fish dinner, that we ate fish on that
oh,
dinner.
yes, I remember. I did call it. Was it some lobster or something you had?
It was, it was a sea bass, and we were able to pick the sea bass, like, pick it, and then they were able to make it and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a fish dinner on the water, so yeah, you called it.
Yes, that's how accurate vertex also could be. Now, you just have a look at the vertex sign. Maybe it's in the fifth house, so you're going to meet someone at a party or school, maybe, or it depends on the sign as well. And of course, the ruler, which is in this case going to be Mars. So it's a little bit more complex to explain, but you get the gist now. The opposite one is anti-vertex, which might be talking about what you do when you are not looking for someone or when you are heartbroken. So maybe you do Taurian things, or maybe you do Leo things, because Taurus is ruled by Venus and Venus is in Leo. Probably this person goes on a shopping spree. Anyway, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about beauty. And Leo is all about shopping bags and jewelries and, looking beautiful. So a little bit of a spark treatment there. So anyway, Leslie brought you an example, which I think is quite cool to look at. It's going to be Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, how that went down. And then after, how did it go down with Britney Spears and Kevin? Let's have a look at first with Justin then.
Yes, so Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. What I found really interesting, and I found like it was really awesome to pull up two charts, but with the same person, Britney. So what I found really interesting is that Justin's Saturn and Jupiter is at the anti-vertex. So let's first look at where her vertex is and kind of break that down. In the inner ring, that's Britney Spears' chart. And so her vertex is located in the seventh house, which would indicate that she's going to be, having karmic relationships or maybe business partnerships that can turn into really serious relationships. But definitely something, a relationship is going to maybe change her life around, or is just really meant to be for her to learn something. And so the ruler is Mars. And so from just looking at the vertex, it's in Aries in the seventh house. So she, maybe she's looking for someone like a macho man, or someone, muscular, someone fit, someone active. And so when we're looking at that Mars is located in Virgo. So maybe she might end up with someone that's a little bit more feminine, because Virgo is a feminine energy.
Sorry,
It's
Mars is in Aquarius, no? Or am I looking at? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Her Mars is in Virgo in the 12th.
Sorry, I was looking at Justin Timberlake's.
Oh, okay. So yeah, in the inner ring, you'll see that her Mars is located in the 12th house in Virgo. And so it gives me the sense that she ends up attracting men that are a little bit more feminine in nature, and not that macho man that she thinks that she's really looking to attract. But someone that could also be a little bit critical, and it's in the 12th house as well. So someone that's like hidden as well, or maybe does things that like are secretive. She may end up attracting someone like that, or maybe someone that uses their energy towards substances or escapism. That's kind of what I was feeling with her Mars being in there in the 12th house in Virgo. And her Mars is also square Neptune. So she may also end up attracting someone that is, not seeing things clearly, that again, maybe using substances, someone that could be creative, but is a little bit delusional as well. Someone that kind of uses that escapism too much, or, that's like kind of controlling them. And so the fact that Justin Timberlake, Saturn and Jupiter is at the anti-vertex, I feel like once he left, once they broke up, she lost a sense of structure within her life. Maybe she lost a sense of optimism in her life. And so, you know, once he like left her, you know, like the relationship, or they broke up, I feel like she, you know, was a little bit hard on herself and lost like a sense of optimism in her life. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I can see the Saturn and the Jupiter also, both of them are triggering that anti-vertex. And you know, Jupiter could indicate an escapism, and Saturn is that cringy feeling, right? So I feel like maybe Britney's escapism is more to do with putting up maybe a poker face and trying to convince everyone that everything is right. However, I also feel like because it's really much triggering her first house, which is all Libra, she's got so much codependency going on that it's really a show what she tries to put up.
And even with that Venus, the ruler of Libra, being square her, square Pluto, like that can really lead to self-destructive behavior, you know, when she is alone, when she's single, you know, like she could be Venus in Capricorn, she could be really hard on herself, you know, like demanding stuff of herself, but not really being able to commit. And then she ends up like, you know, kind of doing the self-destruction a little bit with that Pluto. So, yeah. So then I feel like when Justin, you know, being that have like his Jupiter filling in that space of the anti-vertex, once he left, it's almost like she lost like that hope almost too, you know, and she lost that, like, he was like a really good structure for her, and he was really good at like making her see the bright side of things. So when he's no longer in her life, it's almost like now she has that to fill that void. And it's almost like she cannot, you know, we can't do that on our own sometimes, you know, especially with something so powerful like that. Yeah.
And what happened between those two?
I think that she ended up leaving him, you know, and I think it was just, I think that they were really young. They were teenagers. And so I feel like, you know, fame and everything, like they were young. They really didn't know too much and ended up breaking up. I think it hit him a little harder than her at first. Because he was even like, he had written some songs about her, and like even in a video, he had like a lookalike of her with the same tattoo, you know? So I think it really did hit him hard. But ultimately, like, I think it hit her harder because he was a really positive light in her life. Like, he was someone that would be able to provide structure and like a new outlook on life. And when he left, it's almost like she lost a little bit of that balance within herself.
And as far as I remember, you know, the ship started sinking after, so she had quite a rough period coming up. So
Definitely.
I do believe that Justin might have given her a sense of security, stability.
For sure, with that Saturn there, for sure, I feel that strongly as well. And then, you know, when they broke up, it's almost like she lost like the footing, you know, like her, you know, the ground beneath her kind of like was a little crack in there, you know. So yeah.
But let's not forget, you know, that Saturn could restrict her individuality, and that's something very important for her. So even though there's so many Libra there, but still, you know, I want to keep my individuality at the same time because it's first house. That's my self-development. So the huge question mark: how did Justin Timberlake try to, you know, restrict her in a way?
I mean, maybe Justin was a little bit more responsible, you know, maybe he was just a little bit more like structured within himself. And so her being with him maybe made her a little fearful that she would have to be completely structured, and she wasn't there, you know, because even with her vertex ruler being in the 12th house, like what she's subconsciously looking for is someone to mirror her shadows so that she can really see it. You know, and maybe Justin was really a good guy for her, but she wasn't going to learn those lessons with him.
Great.
You know? Yeah.
So let's have a look at the next one, which is going to be Britney and Kevin.
Yes, Kevin Federline. Oh my gosh. I remember when this whole like her breakdown was going on back in 2007, and she was shaving her head, and she was, like she was going through a lot emotionally. There was a lot of emotional turmoil there. So what we can see here is that his Venus is 3 degrees away from her vertex. And as someone speaking like that has had a relationship, a partner with their Venus on their vertex, like, it really feels like a magnetic pull to someone. It really feels like, like you were meant to be with this person and you're not meant to be with anyone else. And you admire this person for all these beautiful, especially with Venus, like, just from my own experience, like I admired this person for their gifts, their creativity, their poetry, their music, the way that they dance, like all these artistic things. Like I was drawn to that person, right? And so it can almost create an illusion a little bit too, because it's like everyone around you is thinking, why are you with this person? But you feel so connected and so drawn to this person. And so it's a little bit hard to escape that feeling when there's a planet on hitting your vertex, like you can be drawn to this person and no one knows why, but you have this connection. And so I can see, like, I'm just thinking that maybe she saw the same thing in Kevin Federline, because I believe he was a dancer.
Yes.
So I feel like she was connected to his artistry. She was connected to his, just like his beauty, she found him really beautiful. And, but what I'm also noticing here is that his Pluto is really close to her anti-vertex. And that can talk about destruction, like maybe when she was with him, she felt like a power couple with him. She felt, like he was powerful and he, like, knew how to take care of the situation. But it can also talk about maybe even controlling, like there could have been some controlling issues there, or some destructive behavior within themselves, and as in the partnership. And so when they broke up, I feel like she really felt that destruction, like that betrayal, maybe, like maybe she felt like it was, close to death, that energy.
Yeah.
And she started, she kind of lost it a little bit, and it is, that I was going to pull in that trine to the moon. Her moon is in Aquarius, so she's going to handle her emotions in a little bit of a shocking way, and I feel like once he stepped out of the picture, like she just lost the control over herself.
Yes, I completely see exactly in the same way. Very interesting that vertex anti-vertex conjunction. It is a
Yes.
fated relationship with so much power struggle, with so much psychological blockages.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany, next time call me with this first and seventh house oppositions. What you guys have, oppositions are all about learning about each other's differences. These two people are completely out of each other's league. They have nothing in common. But as you described, Venus on the vertex is giving you that feeling like, I need to be with you. I know you from somewhere. But these very karmic natures, it's going to come back somewhere. It's going to, it's going to bite your butt. Well, guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you've got some idea of what to do when you are heartbroken. And I hope you enjoyed a little extra over vertex and anti-vertex as well. Thank you, Leslie, for bringing, again, such a great knowledge.
Thank you so much, Victor, for having me back on with you. And everyone, please like and subscribe and share with your friends, that whoever is a Brittany fan, listen to the entire video, but then also pay attention to this, because this is really helpful information when you're also, trying to understand your own love situation and why you're so attracted to someone. Maybe you have a vertex connection, and you'll be able to see things a little bit more clearly.
Yes, and if you would like to have a reading with Leslie or myself, then you will find the email address or the website available in the description box. Have a lovely week, everyone, and see you with an interesting topic next week. Oh, and don't forget to sign up for my Saturn webinar. It's going to be exciting. Bye-bye.
Bye.